All right. Welcome, everybody, to December's online virtual chamber luncheon. We're sitting here today with Scott Archer, the new city administrator from the city of Canby.
Hello, Kyle.
Thank you for being here. Definitely appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So we're heading into the holiday season and approaching year end, and as we approach that ending, wanted to talk about a new beginning happening here in the city and touch base with Scott and see from his perspective what's going on in the city. He's been in place about a month, and so he's still learning, still getting acquainted with folks around town, and we'll see what he has to tell us. But before we jump in with Scott, definitely wanted to give a shout out to DirectLink, our presidential level member, for their support as always and all that they do around the community. And a huge thank you to my 2020 board of directors. December is always kind of a bittersweet time. We got one meeting left with some outgoing board members. So we're saying goodbye to a couple, but in January we're going to start brand new with a fresh new class of board members joining us. And if you want to know who those folks are, go back to the November luncheon video, either on the Facebook or the Chamber's Facebook or YouTube channel, and you'll get a chance to get acquainted with those folks. But to my current board of directors, my thanks as always, and I want to give them specific recognition. The Chamber President, Terry Giesick from Gustafson Insurance and Frontier Golf Course. Our first Vice President, Jim Davis from Canby Fire, who will be joining us a little bit later to talk a little bit about the governor's new framework and kind of the state of the county a little bit. We're going to take a look at some numbers. Our second Vice President, Tyler Nizer from Clackamas County Fairgrounds and Events Center, who is fast at work doing their drive-through holiday event. Go to the county's website and you can purchase your tickets and come see the lights and get some of that holiday cheer going. Secretary Treasurer Diane Harbeck from Better Homes and Garden Realty Partners. Tina Schimpf from Hope Village. Joel Cutsforth from Cutsforth Market. George Martinez from U.S. Bank. And Mace Peevler from Wilson Construction. And recognition as well for our currently serving past president, Carrie Olin from Promotional Strategies. Their guidance, their input, their support, their nurturing has enabled the Chamber to navigate this difficult time and succeed, where, to be frank, many other chambers are facing pretty extreme struggles. And so I want to thank them for their leadership there. A couple of announcements. You may have noticed either on social media or driving around town, posters in local businesses. Our Buy Local or Buy Local campaign is going right now. This is in partnership with the City of Canby's Economic Development Department, really trying to hammer home the message that we need to support our local businesses. This specific campaign, we're looking at supporting our retailers who are in the area. As we enter the gift-giving season and the holiday season, we definitely want to make sure that our retailers are finishing the year out with a bang. So we're focused a little bit on them, and we'll be pivoting a little bit after the holidays, and we'll be showcasing our hospitality folks in a campaign that's forthcoming. All right. Our raffle for rest and relaxation is winners will be drawn tomorrow, and we will be announcing those winners. So your chance to buy a ticket to enter the raffle is shortly closing. So by noon tomorrow, you'll need to purchase your tickets to be entered to win one of 4 different drivable vacation getaways and a $200 Visa gift card with each of those vacation getaways. Tickets are $20. You can go to the Chamber's webpage and find the raffle link there and get signed up. If you don't want to do an online transaction, call the office or email chamber@canbyareachamber.org and we'll get you hooked up. Another exciting thing happening tomorrow, we have our South Metro Virtual Job and Career Fair. And this is in partnership with the Wilsonville Chamber of Commerce. It is an online virtual employment event where you will get a chance to meet multiple employers in a safe, distanced, online environment and possibly find your next opportunity. So if anybody knows job seekers out there, they can register all the way up until tomorrow. And the event, there's 2 events tomorrow, from noon to 2 p.m. and from 4 and 6 p.m. We wanted to kind of scatter those time frames so based on people's availability, they can make either one or the other. Both events are the same, so really signing up for just one of those events, you'll make sure to have access to those employers. So that's kind of where we're at. It's a busy week for us here at the Chamber, but definitely want to sit down with the first of our 2 guests today and talk a little bit with Scott Archer. And I have to say that I sat in on the community interviews with Scott, and he was absolutely my first choice. So I was excited that others concurred with me. And so very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Very glad to be here. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So jump right into it. If you don't mind, can you tell our members a little bit about yourself and where you came from, maybe professionally?
Sure. Yeah, and again, Kyle, thanks for the opportunity to be here today. I guess I just want to say I'm looking forward to getting more engaged with the Chamber, getting to know our local businesses. I'm just getting my feet under me. This is actually week 4 on the job.
Yeah.
So I haven't even quite hit the month yet, but I really am excited to engage with the Chamber as an organization, and then of course our local businesses. So I'll look forward to working with you on that.
Well, we're happy to have you.
As far as I go, so I have about 30 years of local government experience that I bring to the city. About 20 of those years are with cities, so I really have a passion for working with cities, and I am particularly excited about coming on board with Canby in this position. But yeah, I have about 2/3 of my time has been in the work with cities, and that really is my professional kind of sweet spot, the lane that I really want to be in. And that's why I decided, to pursue this position, and I'm very fortunate to have that. Most of my life really I've been in Clackamas County for the better part of my life. I essentially grew up here, not too far down the road. I grew up in Gladstone. I've lived in a few different places in the county, but I've spent a good amount of time in Oregon City recently in recent years. So most recently, I joined the city here, having just come from being with Clackamas County for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a new mask I'm trying today.
It's
doing the slipping thing.
That's
here.
all right. That's right.
I was the director of the North Clackamas Park and Recreation District with Clackamas County, which is a large service district, serves about 120,000 residents in the county.
Wow.
So the organization size, the budget, staffing, all pretty similar to Canby. So the size of organization that I was responsible for are pretty similar.
Yeah. In scale and
in
scope,
scale and scope, exactly. Yeah. I'm just a little bit of a different specific focus, but
Sure.
Public service nonetheless, and a lot of things that are applicable. Prior to that, so about 5 years in that position. Prior to that, I was with the City of Oregon City for about 12 years, responsible for a variety of different components of the city's operations. A lot of my career has been focused on parks and recreation and sort of community service or community facing types of services. But I've also just had a kind of an opportunity to get involved in a lot of different components of city management. So, I think I bring a lot of that to the table with the city and kind of a culmination of my experience. And then, going back from that, I've been with other organizations, again, total of 3 other cities besides Canby, all of those in the Pacific Northwest, one in Washington State, Ellensburg, Washington, and I spent a few years in Southern Oregon in Medford with the city there. But again, this is home base, and we've been back in this area for it's pushing 20 years now, and So this is a pretty close move for me, and I think that really has helped me with my knowledge of the area, the region, the county, and then of course Canby. My wife and I specifically are really excited to make our home here.
Yeah.
We're going to be selling our home in nearby in Oregon City in the very near future, and we're in the process right now of actually pursuing kind of our options on purchasing a home. So it's not just the job for me; it's becoming part of the community. And my wife and I are a team deal, and so we're excited to be part of the community. So that's kind of a quick snapshot of my background.
Yeah, and I have to say there were so many things kind of about that story that you tell of your experience and whatnot that really when I sat on the interviews just really seemed like an organic, natural transition for you to kind of take this position with the city, being so kind of hyper local, having lived in Clackamas County, grown up in the area, having contacts, knowing the players around the area, as well as having served in multiple departments and having many different focuses. It just seemed a true fit.
Yeah, that's the way it felt to me, and I think that at the end of the day, that is hopefully going to be positive and a help to the city with that local connection and local knowledge. But I still have a lot to learn about Canby itself, even though I feel like I already know the city and the community fairly well. When you jump into a new job, especially this type of position, there's always a lot more to it than, and so I still have a lot to learn, but I feel like I had a good running start on things.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. So I had initially said now that you've had a full month, but it's looking like we are just now week 4.
We'll round up to a month.
We'll round up. Okay. So now that you've had about a month to get your feet beneath you, can you let us know a couple of things you view as top priorities here in the city?
Sure. And, it's a work in progress to answer that kind of question.
Right.
So I say that with a little bit of a disclaimer that there's still a lot to learn, but so the key is working with, the mayor and council to understand their goals and priorities and help advance those, which means then, that those goals and priorities ultimately come from the community itself, right? So the residents, the businesses, all the different stakeholders. So kind of first and foremost, it's, look to the mayor and council to see what their goals are. Quickly out of the gate, I think the things that I've identified are, this is really important to me, is focusing on the day-to-day delivery of exceptional public service. So, provision of city services on the day-to-day basis. There's always the looking at new projects and doing big initiatives, but at the base of everything for city management is just providing those daily services to the community. So whether that's police or transit or libraries, public works, parks, the planning efforts, et cetera, I want to make sure that the city is focusing on just the daily delivery of service. And that's, for me, in public service, that's a big part of, I think, of my mission, is make sure that we're just providing that great service.
And that's and that's awesome, because I think a lot of times when people kind of turn to look to the city and what does the city do, they think these kind of big projects and those types of things. And I think we kind of gloss over the fact that you do, on the regular daily basis, provide service to residents in the community. So that's a fascinating focus.
It's a 24/7, 365 operation. And there's all kinds of things, constantly going on, whether it's public facing or behind the scenes, to keep the city moving. And I think it is important to remember that, what's great too is Canby, for our size, we are truly a full service city. I mean, we offer the full gamut of services. We partner with our fire district partners for the fire services, and there's some things like that, but those things are still provided. But the city really is a full service city, where some smaller cities are not. They're not able to provide that. So it's I think we're really fortunate. It adds to the livability and the quality of life. So so just, I think, a few other things kind of tied into the delivery of services is the fiscal responsibility and just keeping the city on good, solid footing, and we are. I think the city has done a good job historically of managing its finances and being responsible. So
Excellent.
we'll keep that moving. The livability is big. So I think one of the things I figured out quickly with this city, and this is what also attracted me to this city, to the job, and also to wanting to be part of the community, is the livability and the small town charm and character, and balancing that with the growth that is inevitably going to happen, right? So
Right.
I think maintaining that, keeping our eye on that target of livability at all times while we're balancing that growth and all those things. There are, some other things. There's some key projects, and I think we might talk about those a little bit more
Yeah.
in a few minutes here,
Yeah.
that are either in the process of, they're either in process or they need to be moved forward, but I'll kind of save some of the details on that. So there are some key projects that we're looking at. And then I think probably the last thing I would say is, goes without saying, it's been a tough year. 2020 has been challenging.
Yeah.
So for the community and for the city as an organization and for the businesses and all the different people involved in that, I think just the continued effort of recovering from the long challenging year with pandemic, fires, and just some other challenges. So
Yeah.
I think part of my focus early is just looking forward to recovering and moving out of those challenges and into kind of just the regular normalcy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with every challenge, we're presented opportunity.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's
Well, and one of the things, while I was looking at the job or in the process of going through the process of being offered the position, is while some of the stuff was going on with the fires, and having been very close by, and also having been involved with, I worked for the county, which was a big part of emergency management, but being just right down the road, I was able to watch Canby as a community rally and come together for helping people out, helping our neighbors, even helping our neighboring cities. I know our police and our fire folks offered a lot of mutual assistance, or just preparing our own city for possible evacuation and
Right.
and helping. We were a landing spot for a lot of people. So that was awesome to watch, and knowing that I was hopefully going to be coming into this position and having the reality of this is a really great place, and I'm making a good decision because I'm going to be part of a community that is just really caring, and so it was great to watch that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. To have somebody see that from the outside and really respond and believe in the goodness of our community, it's a great thing to hear. So around town, there's been a lot of talks about parks in Canby for years, and that conversation ranges from dog parks to sports fields, and you've got a parks background. Can you tell us from your perspective where you feel the city can get the best bang for its buck in terms of parks development?
Sure, and again, this early assessment, and still got a lot to figure out here. I do have a lot of background in parks, so I think I can hopefully be of some constructive help on that end of things. That obviously isn't my exclusive focus here, was in my position as city administrator. But yeah, I think I can bring a lot to the table. What I think I've gathered pretty quickly is that there are needs, there are park needs. Parks are really, really important to the livability of a community and to the health and the wellness of a community. So I think it's important to invest in parks and trails and recreational-based activities. It's very apparent that we have a Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, a citizens committee, that is very passionate and very excited to do some good things. And
Good.
I think that group is key to working with, that I'll be working with, and our staff will be working with. We do, and will continue to do so. So I think it's with those folks already that are engaged and ready to get to work as citizen advocates, is figuring out what our priorities are. And I know there are a lot of different things that have been talked about. You just named a few of them, Kyle, and I think there are others. So what I've learned pretty quickly is that I think we need to. I think a priority is to update our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which is just the sort of the comprehensive view of what are the priorities of this community. It's where you kind of peel back the layers and you have some public input processes and you do some examining of current systems and facilities, but it really is the opportunity to say it becomes the guidebook for what you want to do and what you want to do next and where we want to invest our limited resources. That plan was last updated in 2002, so it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
And that's a long time to go between updating plans. So the city already has the money in the budget to do this plan. And again, working with our Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, we are looking to expedite this master plan update process. I just met with staff very recently about moving things forward and getting that process underway. So I think we can do that in a relatively at a relatively quick pace, and kind of identify or re-identify the priorities that already exist. And then once those priorities are clearly defined, what the city really wants out of parks and Parks and Recreation, then we will be able to utilize our available or our existing funding sources, which we do have some money. Again, excuse me about my mask keeps sliding down here.
Yeah.
The city does have some dedicated park funding available to use. And I think the best way, and to your question about getting the best bang for our buck, is we take what we have in parks funding that's available, we leverage that with grants or partnerships, and I have a lot of experience in doing that. So you turn $500,000 perhaps into $1 million by grants or partnerships, and so you take what you have and you leverage it, and then you invest that into those priorities. So I'm not naming specific projects. I'm doing that on purpose.
Right.
That intention is that I think we still need to basically update or refresh what are the priorities here, determine those, and then quickly get to work on investing into those things.
No, that's fantastic. I think for the most part, the community's wanting to hear much of the message that you're giving us, that we're in motion, that we're being intentional, that there is a plan, there is an impetus to act, and so that's great.
Yeah, and I'm on that pretty quick, and we're already like I said, I've already met with staff, and we're going to move some things forward. I had the chance to recently sit in on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee meeting and talk to those interested residents about what we can do and try to get that conversation moving ahead.
That's awesome. I think especially like you said, in the age of COVID, it's people are surprisingly reliant on parks right now, and so I think it is very much forefront of many people's minds.
Absolutely.
And speaking of COVID, we're in the midst of the pandemic, and many local businesses are feeling the effects of regulations, shutdowns, et cetera. How do you view the city's roles in terms of supporting business?
Yeah. Well, we do have a role, and the city, from what I've gathered early on, has been doing a pretty good job of helping out or providing assistance or support. The city's been proactive almost from the beginning of the pandemic. There have been a number of initiatives or programs that the city's put into place, some of those working with the Chamber of Commerce, of course. I think you mentioned one of those a little bit ago in your opening remarks. So just to kind of name a few things, and so I guess backing up, we have an economic development team.
Yes.
So Jamie
Who are
Stickle and her small team, but they've done a lot, and we've worked closely, or they and we now. I'm part of the we now, so I get to say we have worked closely with the mayor and the council.
Yeah.
Have worked closely with the chamber and other partners, and have made efforts to promote these programs through the various outlets, social media, print media. Things like what we're doing today.
Right.
So some of those programs have included, very early, it was the Love Local Canby campaign to encourage residents and visitors to support our local businesses. Beginning in the summer, the city did some things like waiving fees associated typically with sidewalk cafe permits to encourage eateries to expand their outdoor footprints, which hopefully then gives better business opportunities. Just very recently in October, the council approved the Open Air Canby program, which supports businesses by allowing even further expansion of the outdoor seating into, for example, parking lots or other areas. So
Yeah.
that was an accelerated, expedited process to get that into place quickly. Again, Jamie Stickle, our Economic Development Director, did a great job working with our other staff and our mayor and council in getting that into place. So we've got that into place, and you've already seen some tents coming up around town and near restaurants.
Yes.
We recently established the Canby Small Business Resiliency Grant Program. Hopefully, businesses around town have had heard about that, and I know that we have a number of businesses that have applied for that. We used CARES Act funding, so it's federal dollars that were given to the city for COVID relief efforts, and we are redirecting a lot of that money into the local community. We redirected a large amount of that into some of the local nonprofits in town to help people directly, and that's been a very successful program.
Yeah, intervention for individuals on the nonprofit side. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, the city activated that very quickly and did a super job on that. I don't get to take credit. That was done before I was here, but I was just watching it go into place so quickly. And then the other piece of it is the business part, and that is there was an application period that just closed, and
Yesterday.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah,
that's
yesterday.
correct. Yep, end of November, that's right. And the grants are being reviewed right now. And the idea is basically that the city will direct money to small businesses to assist them in areas of need as they've been so greatly impacted. So that money will be expedited and given to these businesses that will receive the grants in the very near future. In fact, it has to be spent by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
December
it's moving
30
quickly.
even.
Yeah, one day before the end of the year.
One day before the end of the year.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that's going on. We partnered with the chamber. You mentioned the buy local or buy local campaign to showcase businesses and holiday offerings. We worked with the Canby Current to create a holiday shopping guide featuring a number of local businesses and just other things, and we continue to look for other opportunities to do that. So I think the city has done a good job of, as best it can, with the resources available, even getting really creative with, like I said, with using some of those CARES funds that got directed to the city, and we redirected that right directly into the community. So, but we'll continue to look for ways to be supportive.
And I having talked with local business owners, I know that all of those efforts are very much appreciated.
Good.
And yeah, like you said, great team. Huge shout out to Jamie Stickle and Calvin LeSueur, who are wonderful to work with.
Thank you.
Can't sing their praises enough.
I appreciate that.
So you've inherited, and we talked a little bit that we were going to circle back to projects.
Yep.
So this is, we'll circle back. You inherited a slew of projects that were in motion before you took the city administrator position. Do you mind giving folks kind of a quick update on some of these projects? I'm thinking about maybe the railroad quiet zone, any industrial park updates, or the arch, et cetera.
Yes. Yeah, there are a number of projects that are in process in different ways. So just to kind of go through a few of those, the downtown railroad quiet zone and arch improvement project is moving forward. We are right now in the process of rebidding the project. We bid it earlier in the year. We didn't receive very much response to that for I think for a number of reasons. The time of year it was bid and some different things that were going on.
Okay.
So we're repackaging that, and we're going to make the bids more attractive, I think, to a number of contractors and get more competitive pricing. We are going to be moving that forward pretty quickly, and then depending on how the bidding process goes and the pricing and everything, that project is anticipated to be done by the end of June, this coming June of 21. We have some construction easements that are in place until the end of June, so it gives us a time target to say we've got to finish it before then, so we use that. So that's moving. We recently completed the splash pad at Maple Park. We in fact just did a kind of a final test with the contractor, and it went well.
Excellent.
So that will be up and running for the next summer season, assuming that we can use those kinds of facilities with all the stuff that's going on. We are working on putting the pieces into place for the Walnut Street connection. That is the connection from the industrial park to 99E for
Fantastic.
rerouting truck traffic and traffic related to the business park and taking some of the pressure off of other parts of where trucks are driving right now.
Hazeldale and the Fred Meyer Light.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Other
we're
pinch
getting,
points.
we're getting all the planning efforts into place. We're amending our transportation system plan, the TSP, to allow for that. And so that will be, continue to move forward. Ivy Street improvements. So on Ivy Street, we currently have some utility work underway.
Yeah.
That's just sort of a precursor to the bigger project, which will be basically from 99 to Lee Elementary on Ivy Street. It'll be a major street and sidewalk improvement project that will be done over probably the next 12 to 18 months is kind of the rough timeline.
Right.
That'll include road widening to 3 lanes, adding bike lanes and sidewalks on both sides, and then there's going to be a signal added at the intersection of Ivy and Township.
Yeah.
So that will be a substantial road project. Some park projects to be determined, as we just talked about.
Yeah.
And then the industrial park and some of the things that are going on out there. And again, shout out to our economic development crew, small but mighty.
Yeah.
So we do have some activity going on. The new projects that are being constructed in the industrial park right now are Caruso Produce. That's a local produce distributor that's been in business for 75 years. They're moving from Tualatin to Canby.
Mm-hmm.
Stanton Furniture has been in business for about 40 years. They're also coming from Tualatin to Canby. There's a business called Alpha Sense, sense as in smell, that's being constructed. They're a manufacturer of insect pheromone traps. So interesting kind of a business component there.
Yeah.
In early August, so just recently, the city's planning commission approved the Baker Center in the industrial park, which is a development that will be done by Trammell Crow. And it would bring 3 speculative buildings to the corner of Walnut and Southeast First. So that has the potential to be a very large component of the industrial park. And then earlier this year, of course, Trammell Crow Development did the Columbia Distributing Building, which brings approximately 300 jobs to Canby. It combined 3 warehouses, and it's a 500,000 square foot building on about 42 acres of land, so very large development. And then again, we continue
You can't miss it if you go out there.
No, you cannot.
You cannot miss
No,
it.
it's, I think it's the biggest building in Canby now.
Yeah.
So, so we continue to work on other opportunities for economic development projects out at the industrial park and other opportunities. So that's just kind of a snapshot on some of the projects that are front and center for us right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's excellent. I think it's encouraging to know that Canby remains, in so many of the things that you talked about, Canby remains a great place in terms of livability, in terms of residents and parks and whatnot, but also in terms of business and industry in the area. And, we trust that, you'll continue leading us into the future and keep building on that promise.
Yeah, that's, again, I think that's, the livability piece is probably really front and center for everything that we think about. And again, having the new hat on here and really seeking specifically myself to come to Canby was based on the livability of this city as it is right now, but also knowing that there are things that are happening to advance the city and bring more jobs or bring more tax base, which ultimately supports the city's operations. And again, the balance of that is really key.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky dance that you have to do. And so, the way we do that is we work closely with our mayor and council, our planning commission, other boards and committees, our community and our businesses and our residents and
Schools.
try to find, all of our partners. The school district is a huge part of that, absolutely, to make sure that we're trying to balance that,
Right.
the growth and the livability together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a delicate little dance.
It sure is.
To do, and there's a lot of considerations to make, and it's always one of those things, where you pull on this string here, and you see movement over here that maybe you don't expect.
That's exactly right.
And so knowing what those relationships are, and
Yeah.
having that kind of depth of experience that you bring to the job.
Yeah, everything
we're
impacts,
excited.
everything impacts everything else, and so it's, again, especially with the size of community that we are, it's everything that happens is impactful, so
Yeah.
we have to be really thoughtful about that.
Yeah.
This issue is not per se unique to Canby. I think
Right.
many or most communities struggle with growth and livability and
Yeah.
balancing, but the uniqueness of Canby is quite specifically important in that Canby has, positioned within this bigger metro region and where we're at, I think more so than probably most or all of the cities in this metro area, we have this incredible small town charm and character that is so attractive, and it brings people that want to be here to do business or to live or to visit, which is great. But then that becomes the part where the impacts happen, and you have to be thoughtful about how you manage that. So
Yeah.
I would like to, very much keep my eye on that and work carefully on that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everything that you brought to the table today and all of the updates. We look forward to working with you well into the future and having a productive relationship as has been tradition between the city and the chamber. And best of luck as you head into month 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I appreciate it, Kyle. Thanks again for the opportunity to be
Yeah.
here, and look forward to working with you and our businesses going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you
Great.
so much.
All right.
So that is Scott Archer, our new city administrator, who has joined us today. And now we're gonna pivot a little bit, and we're gonna have Chief Davis come and sit in with us and give us a quick update. Couple of things, just kind of the state of the county and the region a little bit in terms of COVID, and the governor's framework. Is what we're going to address today. So wanted to give you all an update on that.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you, Chief.
And you led off today, I've been sitting in the background, and you
Yeah.
led off today talking about the Board of Directors,
Mm-hmm.
which I want to compliment as well. It's an outstanding board. But Kyle, I want to also thank you as the Executive Director, as well as Robin and Audrey
Absolutely.
for the work behind the scenes of keeping your eye on the target.
Yeah.
And we're blessed to have you. Also, listening to our new city administrator, Scott Archer. I've had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Archer, and I'm very excited about the future for Canby at the city, as well as the Chamber of Commerce
Yeah.
going into next year. So compliments to you as well.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Again, it just comes back to that. With every challenge, there is opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you and the board of directors being able to recognize that opportunity as it presents itself, even when it feels challenging.
Oh, yeah.
It feels more challenging than opportunistic at times, but.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. And so, as we move forward with the COVID, things are,
Yeah, let's jump right in, and maybe a
Yep.
general summary of where Canby and maybe Clackamas County sits.
Kyle, Clackamas County is no longer tied in with the tri-counties, which is
great news.
Which is great news.
Great news.
And so, and to the citizens of Canby, I've seen a great cooperation in grocery stores and everything else in regards to mask and
Right.
keeping mask on, and one of the best preventers that we can do. And for those that had to deal with Thanksgiving without their loved ones or their families, myself included.
Right.
Normally I had, 28 people, and there was 6 of us.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
we
so
were 5.
I get it, but, as we look to the future, I think it's better, especially as we have the vaccines potentially moving in and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
currently, Canby and Clackamas County, unfortunately, sit in the high risk, the extreme risk.
Right. Which if we look at the disease metrics, here, this kind of lays out
Exactly.
how we fall in categories.
Yeah, so Clackamas County sits in the extreme high risk, which what that means is if we have 200 plus in regards to COVID confirmed cases, and we are sitting at to date 339. So we need to do
Across the 14-day
correct
period.
within that 14-day period. So we need to get that down.
Yeah.
And just to get into the high risk category, we have to get it down below 200, 199 or less. And that will impact how we move forward. When this first started, you were part of our Emergency Operations Center, and we were sitting there discussing, well, we're sitting here looking at 100, 200 deaths in the state. And, to date, we're in excess of 920 deaths in the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
I never dreamt that we'd be moving towards 1,000 deaths in the state of Oregon, but unfortunately, I think we're going to get there. As of yesterday, there were over 1,300 new cases reported, and 7 more deaths.
Statewide.
Statewide. Yep, statewide. And our zip code, you asked me to report on the zip code. Since COVID started, in our zip code of 97013, we're seeing 489 positive cases of COVID. That'd be specifically within the Canby zip code.
Okay.
And Thanksgiving, we'll find out. They say give it 2 weeks, and we'll find out what the impacts of that holiday will bring us. Hopefully, we won't see a significant increase. The current state of affairs, I can tell you from my experience as of yesterday, we had 3 medic units out at the same time, and myself being on one of the medic units on a medical call. And when we left the medical call, we were headed to Willamette Falls. We were told Willamette Falls was full. Then we tried Meridian Park, and Meridian Park was full. So as we pulled up to St. Vincent's Hospital in Beaverton, just as we were unloading the patients, they came out and said that they were full, but they took our patient.
Okay.
And so ambulances are lined up, and I would say a majority of these, a good portion of these, are related to the normal day-to-day plus the COVID.
Right.
And we're seeing tents set up outside the emergency rooms for the COVID cases. And so the hospital staff, hats off to the nurses, doctors, and to the hospital staff, doing a tremendous job up at the hospitals.
And I think that story you told about being on the medical call and being diverted from 2 hospitals before being able to land at the third, whatever the reason for the medical transport that you were on, if it was an unrelated to COVID,
It was.
It was, right? That's where the occupancy problem arises.
Correct.
It's not just about how many COVID cases are currently in the hospital, but it's all the other attendant just accidents or conditions or health concerns that would bring somebody to the hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. Our physician advisor, Dr. Stone, has been tremendous working with Canby Fire as well as Canby Police Department.
Yeah.
Because we continue to see some of our people exposed or catching COVID more so away from the job. And when that happens, that means that the emergency workers, either the police or firefighters or other city employees or other employees, have to, do their 14 days and or in our case, 10 days from last onset of illness. And so that's had some significant impact to the Canby Fire Department, causing firefighters, both paid and the volunteers, to work long hours. In excess of 72-hour shifts, just trying to keep our medic unit staffed.
Yeah.
So, but we've been very fortunate, and I can still guarantee to our customers, basically, that we're under the strictest guidelines set by Oregon OSHA, and we're watched by Oregon OSHA. We meet the Oregon OSHA requirements. And we decon our ambulances at the hospital and when they get back to the fire station.
Yeah.
with the utmost, the updated equipment and chemicals that we possibly can. So we are doing our very best. But the one advice that Dr. Stone has given to us is if we respond to a house and they're having mild symptoms of COVID, we give them a sheet from Dr. Stone that basically says, you know, you may be better off staying at home for right now until you experience other cases. Because if you go to the hospital, then a real emergency comes in, that room is filled up with a mild case of COVID rather than an extreme case of COVID or respiratory problems.
Yeah.
But with that said, we still present that option to the person. If they want to be transported, we will transport them to the hospital.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, it's not that we're not going to treat you, but we encourage you to go through your personal physician first.
Yeah.
Get advice from your personal physician. If your personal physician means that you be transported, certainly dial 911 and we will transport you to the hospital.
And that's an interesting balancing act, you know, that you're doing your best to provide service to as many folks as you can, while also balancing the medical professionals' advice that maybe they need to stay home or kind of sit and wait for a moment type of situation. And so, you know,
Exactly.
it's delicate.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, some of the other concerns you asked me to address was the decontamination procedures and things like that
Yeah.
people can do in their businesses. Number one is be familiar with the Oregon OSHA rules and regulations
Right.
for your business. And Oregon OSHA is not out there unless they get a complaint. If they get a complaint, then they're out there enforcing and looking at your business. The guidelines, the new COVID guidelines are online by just going
Yep.
to the state or OSHA, and you can look up your type of business and what you have to do in regards to compliance of the OSHA regulations, as the fire and police are mandated to do as well for public safety.
And that's one thing that we as the chamber try and roll out anytime there's an update to these rules. When the temporary COVID OSHA ruling came out, we really try and blast that out to the community and via our newsletter, and try and make that you know, part of the service and the value that we provide to local businesses around the community, because it's
Absolutely.
critical.
Yep, absolutely, and you've done a great job with that. You're doing a great job with the grant program and trying to, you know, get the grant program established and
Right.
get somebody on board to help small businesses.
Yep.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and those are all services provided by the chamber as well. So, good job with that as well.
Thank you.
And a lot of these graphs and charts that Kyle is pulling up today too.
Do we want to do the
Yeah, let's
the county map?
let's do.
Well, we
can do-
talked about it being in high risk, so maybe the activities?
Yeah, the activities
The
map.
activities map, okay.
Yeah. So as you can
There we
see, thank you, Kyle. You can see by this will be posted this afternoon.
Yes. Yeah,
It's
we'll
not on there
update the
right
website.
yet, but this takes effect December 3rd.
Yes.
Okay, so people are wondering, you know, is this extending in regards to the governor's order that she gave 2 weeks ago? And the answer is yes, but modified.
Right.
Okay,
There was some concessions made, but,
right.
Yep.
So as you can see by the graph, a few things that are changing.
so we sit in the extreme risk, so we're looking in
We're in
this
the
red column,
extreme,
correct?
and that's because we're sitting at 339.
Yep.
And that's what keeps us into the extreme. So not a lot has changed on this. You can see that faith institutions, funeral homes, that has changed. It was 10,
Yeah.
and now it's 25% capacity or no more than 100, which to me makes sense because you can have the Foursquare Church versus St. Patrick's Church.
Right.
Two different occupancy loads, you
Yeah.
know, but at least.
room sizes are way
room
different.
size are way different. So this is going to allow flexibility for larger faith organizations to be able to gather. And so that has changed.
Right. While still allowing worship,
Correct.
right, which is critical. That was something that was folded in.
Right, outdoor recreation, fitness, again, outdoor recreation, no more than 50 for those type of activities, and outdoor entertainments, theaters, stadiums, those type of things are going to be set at 50. For the businesses, still remote, so if you can keep your employees home, working
Right.
from home, including the fire department, our staff is at home, and not the firefighters.
Right. Staff, yes.
Is working remotely, and that's working very well.
Yeah,
But
as well as minimizing, I mean, they really say if your office is open to the public, closing your office to the public, if that is a business model that your business can sustain.
Right. And, but this does allow the outdoor entertainment, if we can get down to the high-risk category, that's where things, if you look at the chart, really start changing.
Yeah,
So some of these regulations, right, wrong, or indifferent, we can agree with them, disagree with them,
Right.
but we're going on the best numbers, and I'm kind of a data guy anyway.
yep,
And rules are established for a reason, and so if we follow these rules and try to get this down, then the light at the end of the tunnel will be looking at the vaccine.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, as everybody's following the news, the vaccine's being shipped. The state of Oregon will receive that from the feds,
Right.
from the federal side of things, and then from the state, it goes to the counties. And the counties, we've got a push partner call down list in which that would be activated. And of course, it's going to be healthcare workers, emergency workers, and
Right.
then of course, the retirement centers.
yep,
People over
At-risk
65,
populations.
high-risk population,
Yep.
and then the general population.
right,
With the goal that if we can get 70% of the population vaccinated, the CDC is saying that they hope to have this under control to where we can get somewhat back to normalcy again.
yeah,
And, getting kids back in school is critical, and activities and businesses is critical.
Yep.
So that's the ultimate goal.
yeah. I mean, even just looking at, the phasing from extreme risk, high risk, moderate to lower, and us sitting in extreme risk, we don't want to sit anywhere where anything in that column says prohibited.
Correct.
I mean, indoor recreation and fitness establishments, our gyms, they're hurting.
They are.
And we really need to make sure that we're maintaining personal responsibility for our own actions, right, in terms of how that affects the community welfare overall, so that we can move into this lower category and we can really open up pretty much the entire scope of businesses within our community.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So, well, thank you for that. Is there anything that you want to add to that, or message for the community?
no, I would just say, again, it was great to hear Scott Archer talk today. I can't say, I'm very excited
Yeah.
moving into next year and the activities for the chamber,
Yeah.
as well as the partnership with the city, with Scott being at the helm at the city, and the city council that we have is going to be tremendous.
Yeah.
So I very much look forward to working with the current board
Yeah.
moving into next year too. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. All right, folks, so that's what we have for today. We won't be back until January. So we wish you a happy holidays. We hope that you are able to stay safe, stay connected, stay nurtured, stay well. Get outside where you can. Keep yourself in the midst of healthy activities, and make sure to support our local businesses in any way, shape, or form that you can, because that's what we're here to do, and that's the mission. So thank you very much, and we will see you back here in January.